Three, two, one, and we are live.
Yay.
Perfect. Okay, so welcome back, everybody. We had a slight change of personnel, but we have the last 15 boards of the USA1 finals to go through. And so we have myself and Tracy and Brent hosting. So thank you all. And we get to dive right in, I guess. So Chris choosing to treat his good 13. You know, I personally, I agree, this is definitely a good 13. You have a 5-card club suit with 3 honors, and
What is their no trump range?
14 to 16. So
Okay.
you know, it's just in his case just a 1-point upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
And Shannon in the other room choosing not to, or I guess maybe their no trump is stronger, but in either case we have a little divergence to start. Good. So Amber, I guess, trying to decide how to show this hand over a strong no trump. So she has maybe a few different options. She might be able to transfer to spades and show some sort of slam try in spades, maybe with short clubs, or she may want to bid Stamen and then transfer back into spades later, sort of showing a 6-4 and maybe backing into a heart fit.
What would you do on this hand? I think I might be apt to actually use Stamen, see if your partner has a massive fit with you, right? And then show the shortness and use bays.
Yeah, so I think I like bidding Stamen on this because the ace king 6th of spades is, if partner has a doubleton spade, you know, we may actually, and 4 hearts, let's say, we may actually be able to play this spade suit for no losers in hearts, whereas you know, if we just focus on the spade suit, we may still have a loser there. So I do think I would bid Stamen, planning to you know, planning to show a slam try if partner shows either major, and when partner doesn't,
Then I
probably would settle for 4 spades.
Yeah. So then a lot of us play a delayed Texas. So after you do Stamen, you hear your partner say 2 diamonds, denying a 4-card major, then you would probably bid 4 hearts here, transferring into spades, and then just drop the hand. But she's thinking an awfully long time. So now she's deciding to go for the spade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's quite reasonable, because if she bids Stamen, she won't be able to really make a slam try and bid delayed Texas. So she might have been sort of forced to, I mean, maybe she could bid Smolin, and then if partner bids 3 spades, you bid over that, and partner bids 3 no, you quit. But
wow. So in the other room, they ended up in 4 spades in the north. And if people don't know, I'm actually on the Dinkin team that is playing over in USA2, and we actually made it through the quarterfinals and won by 2 imps to Lewis. And I'm watching on another screen what's happening over there, and Kitty Cooper and Adam Wolbalski are just playing 3 spades.
3 spades is not very many spades, I have to admit.
Yeah.
And here Chris, over his partner's slam try, can't get the 4 spade bid on the table fast enough, looking at ace queen jack 9, 5th of clubs opposite partner's shortness. And you know, the play here is not trivial. I mean, you have 3 heart losers off the top and a slow diamond loser potentially. So you can theoretically just give up 3 heart tricks, and then you'll have 10 tricks, which seems like what happened in the other room when they led hearts.
Yeah.
But if not, you might, you know, you could be forgiven for potentially playing for the king of clubs on side. And here with this trump lead, you have what, 3 entries to your hand, 2 in trumps and 1 in diamonds. So my guess is that I see. So Chris taking the sort of sure bet of pitching 2 hearts from the dummy. So now the opponents can only cash 2 hearts. And worst case, he has the jack of clubs for that long diamond. And so this is sort of a much safer line in that you actually don't need any of these things to cooperate at all, because you take your pitch in the suit that your opponents have quick tricks in, and the slow loser goes on the later one after the loser on loser play, or finesse, as it were. And so moving on to the next board in the other room. So Tracy, have you and Billy talked about, in the auction, a spade 2/1, the difference between 2 spades and 3 spades?
So it's been kind of fun, as it's been talked about a lot in the mixed teams. A lot of partnerships are not very seasoned. And to be frank, Billy was supposed to be playing with Bronia Jenkins, and Bronia just took the job as executive director for the ACBL. So they needed a woman to play with Billy. So I got that. And I had only played with Billy one other time, which was in the Pro-Am last summer. So, no, I don't think we really have. And that's the thing, is as we sit down, most of the pro pairs and expert players that know Billy Cohen, he plays such a standard system, they don't even need to take our convention card. But they're shocked that he's playing upside down count attitude. So we are not playing. I don't think we've discussed that it absolutely promises 6 spades or not. But
right. No, it seems like something useful to cover here, and even more so, the difference between, let's say, if you had bid 3 spades directly, whether that's, hey, I have a solid suit with no losers in trumps, or maybe I have a semi-solid suit, that sort of thing. And here, Debbie is getting to sort of show that later on by responding to key card, of course, but being confident on the difference between, let's say, bidding 2 spades and then later showing up with all of these secondary cards in the suits versus just jumping directly is interesting. And 6 spades is a pretty good contract. They need to lead a heart to even threaten it. And let's see, on a heart lead, how does declarer do on a heart lead, actually?
And in the other room, Kevin Dwyer opened a 3 no trump, which would be a gambling 3 no trump, so showing a 7 card solid suit with no outside controls.
Yeah, I think they play it as a solid, specifically a solid major. So it's sort of a way to differentiate between just opening for major, which could be a lot of different things, especially, I'm sure, in their style. And
what is 4 diamonds then?
So it's alerted as asking for the number of the major. So presumably this is, do you have 7, 8, and so on?
Okay.
And Debbie choosing to bid 6 no trump over Michael's 5 no trump, meaning that I guess she still gets to play it, though, having bid 3 no trump not in serious earlier in the auction. And interestingly, the only lead to beat 6 no trump is the 10 of hearts. Although on a low heart lead, declarer can simply duck and lose to the king and repeat the heart finesse. And on any other lead, pretty much, I guess the queen of hearts as well. But but yes, so the defense understandably did not find a heart lead. On this auction, it's not really clear that anything is strongly indicated. And, you know, I guess, yeah, Mike Modell in the chat pointing out that double dummy, there's still 12 tricks on the 10 of heart lead even, which I believe is true because South winds up getting squeezed if you can see all of the cards. But Declarer today in 6-0 just has 12 tricks once they don't lead a heart. And similarly in the other room, playing it from the other side and getting a diamond lead, again, just 12 tricks. Actually have to run downstairs and grab dinner, which just arrived. I will be back in about 30 seconds. Thanks.
So and then looking over at the USA2 matches, we have Pepsi playing just in 3-no trump, and it looks like Ron and Yoko are on their way to a slam. So we'll move over to board 48. So you have Debbie opening up 1 spade. It's a pretty powerful hand, even though it has only 7, 8, 9, 10 high card points. So it looks like they're going to probably pick up here. The diamond position is difficult, so on 48. So Dwyer made the same 1 spade, and we'll see if Amber is aggressive and is going to bid 1 no trump. So it looks like this board is being bid differently in each of the rooms. So thanks, Brent. Looking at the chat, Brent Zhao is also working, and he's our host right now, and he's putting some stuff. So Amber has been on the conservative end of this event. So obviously I've been playing and I haven't been watching the USA1 matches. Oh, it's still Christian. Hi, Christian. How are you? So yeah, Olivia over in USA2 decided on the Dinkin team to over 1 spade bid 2 diamonds. So you have that team, you have May and Pepsi playing in 3 spades.
Okay, I am back. Sorry about that. I guess I have the modern version of dinner and a show, which is delivery and VUGRAPH.
So I was just commentating on this hand. Is everybody decided to take this hand differently as North, both in both the USA1 and the USA2 matches? So Jenny was aggressive since she's white versus red and bid one no trump over the spade. Amber Lynn decided to do a flexible double, even though she has 3 baby hearts. Olivia over in USA2 match decided to bid 2 diamonds. So
it's interesting. I think personally, not vulnerable or especially at favorable, I would opt for one no. But my second choice would probably be double. I feel like this hand is weak enough to where I don't really want to have to bid 2 diamonds and double again. I'm not really fully comfortable doing that. So, failing that, I kind of want to get as much of my hand off my chest as I can early on. So, I feel like double is a slightly better description, slightly more likely to get us to a game potentially.
Well, that's what both Amber Lynn decided, and Kitty Cooper over in USA2 also chose the double over 1 spade.
Yeah, it feels like it's the right sort of compromise. And here, I suppose she might have considered bidding 3 no over 3 hearts rather than 3 spades. But understandably a little bit worried about stoppers here.
So you wouldn't choose to bid 1 no trump like Jenny did?
My first choice would probably be a no trump at this vulnerability. But at any other vulnerability, I would probably double.
Okay.
How about yourself?
I can be aggressive, and with the white versus red, I would have gone Jenny because I have 3 hearts. So if my partner is going to transfer me into hearts, I'm super happy with that, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're happy if partner transfers. You're happy if partner even bids more no trump. King and 1 does seem like a nice. It's not as positional necessarily, but it's just a sort of solid holding to have. You'd prefer king third so you could hold up once, but beggars can't be choosers. And here we see Jenny in the other room, having gotten bad news, having stripped out the hand as best she can, and it seems like Debbie will eventually be sort of end played into leading a club, but it'll be a Pyrrhic victory, as that'll be an end play for down 1. Oh, so over in 4 hearts, though, it seems like Declare also has quite a few losers there. Even though the King of Hearts is on the side, they don't split. And it's going to be tough to avoid losing at least a diamond, a heart, and a club from this point. And having already lost a trick, that means that he's sort of starting likely from down 1. And we'll see where he finishes. So well done by Jenny to get out for down 1.
Yep.
Having sort of having safely exited and chosen to end play West. She knew that Debbie had to have something for her opening bid, and seeing as she hadn't shown up with anything else, that must have meant she had the King of Clubs.
What is the double dummy saying on this for the 4 hearts?
Yeah, it feels like most variations lead to down 1. Depending on how Chris guesses it, he may wind up going down an extra trick. It'll depend sort of. It feels like the natural thing to do is to lead a heart, planning to finesse, and probably to then follow that up with a diamond to the 10, hoping for the diamond finesse to be on side. And when that doesn't come through, as long as Sandra is awake and shifts to a club, there should be sort of no chance of any sort of end play or anything else. And he knows, just like Jenny did it in the other room, that Kevin has to have something to have opened the bidding when Sandra shows up with the King of Hearts and Queen of Diamonds. And so he'll duck the club and likely finish down one for a push. So here on the next board, in the other room, we see they've gotten to what looks to be a pretty normal 4 spades, I think. The modern style with the north hand varies from player to player. Some choose to open a no trump. Some choose to open the minor. I think with 4-4 in the majors, it's still clearly right to open the minor, because if as long as partner bids a major, you're very happy. Whereas opening a no trump, you sort of, when you do have a major suit fit, you don't quite get to convey just how strong your hand is, because naturally partner is not expecting shortness. I'm surprised Chris covered the Jack of Clubs, actually. I suppose he wanted to ensure that, well, no, covering the Jack of Clubs seems like a poor play, because there is still an off chance that it's Singleton King with Kevin, and that you're certain that he has it. And here, now we'll see, it gets a little bit tricky as Kevin can pitch on this one and rough the second diamond and get out maybe Chris should even consider overtaking this and shooting a club towards his hand with the idea that
excellent idea.
Yeah, it's sort of, he can see what's about to happen. But today, with clubs being 4-2 anyway, it's not even any use. Right, because now Sandra can win this and play a diamond, and which Kevin can rough and exit a spade, and that's down 2. This Chris will be end played in hand. We'll probably want to dig into the play a little bit in this 4 spades when it comes up on the left. But it seems as though Declarer, despite the poor trump split, will still come home with 10 tricks.
Okay, so board 50, they've opened up a diamond.
It's not surprising here that that sorry, where was my brain going? Not
I'm a little
surprising
brain
that
dead.
North may choose simply not to make any sort of move towards slam. Even if partner had a fit, once they're limited to like 14 or even sort of bad 14, the North hand just doesn't quite have enough to where they're probably looking for slam. I mean, here partner has a pretty good hand, and even still, you're on lots and lots of finesses for any sort of slam. And I'm not quite sure exactly odds wise how bad it is, but I think looking at the two hands, I would be happy not to be there. And here we see in the other room, Amber choosing to bid 4 clubs, which feels like a really huge overbid, if I'm honest. I feel like if you moved my king of clubs into hearts, I would be
Right.
just bare. I would be sort of minimum for that. But with the stiff king of clubs, 4 clubs feels really, really like an overbid. She'll survive today as
Do
partner.
you like
Even
to splinter with an honor like that? I usually don't.
nor do I. I mean, sometimes the hand is strong enough to where you don't really have any other choice. You can't really avoid it. But with a hand like this, when you're splintering, you almost want to look at all of the suits outside of your singleton, and in terms of evaluating your playing strength, because that's kind of what partner is going to expect, right? They'll expect you to have a small singleton and an extra values opening bid outside of that suit.
I think Kevin got off to a great lead with the spade right away.
Right. Well, and I guess that's the other benefit, I suppose, of not splintering is simply that the opponents are maybe a little bit less likely to lead trumps. Here on this auction, especially with nothing better to do or no other great ideas, and 4 little trumps, it seems pretty clear and pretty good to be leading a trump. But with the diamond finesse on, I think declare even Kevin really won't be able to get on lead trumps very many more times. And as long as declarer is careful about the order that they're roughing things, I think they should be able to come home with 10 tricks. It's a little awkward.
So we have a comment from our peanut gallery. So they said, for me, it depends whether the honors in that suit provide a useful discard. Say that you have a stiff king and you have an ace third on the side. I would not splinter with that, but I would do it if I had a stiff king and king queen little on the side where you don't have any useful pitches. So.
To me, it's more about the overall strength of the hand, right? If you give me some 20 count with a stiff honor, sure, I'll shrug and splinter along with the rest of you. But if I don't have to, I'm certainly not going to be, I'm certainly not lining up to do it. So interestingly, Declare seems to have chosen to come off dummy with a little diamond, hoping to give East a problem with if they had the king. But today, not only did East not have the king, but he's actually going to be potentially at risk of having some problems on this hand if Kevin is able to rough the 3rd diamond and cause some trouble.
Yep.
But today, with East having the ace of hearts, I think he's still okay, but it's a little touch and go.
So what would your plan be if you were Chris right now?
Well, I think my initial plan would probably, especially having let a diamond off the dummy, is probably to win this in dummy and play the ace of diamonds and plan to rough a diamond in hand. But when I play the ace of diamonds, I'll get the good/bad news that the king drops. And now I think you kind of switch gears and actually play the queen of hearts off the dummy, trying to keep Kevin off lead. And with the plan being to rough one heart in hand and pitch a diamond on the ace of clubs, and I guess give up. You're still a little short, and the problem is that if you rough a diamond now, then when you lose to the ace of hearts, they can play another diamond and force you to rough, and that's no good. This is a little messy now.
Very. So I'm sorry, Adam, that I'm so quiet. It's been a very long day.
I can imagine. I can imagine. A lot of boards and a lot of emotions to win by 2 is of course awesome, and well done with that. And but it's also but it's also a lot. Yeah.
If you're just joining us, I'm playing over in the USA2 match, and my team was down 40 with only 30 boards to go, and we ended up making a comeback and are now playing in the semifinals. So, and Billy Cohen and myself played 3 sets in a row, and tons of emotions. Nobody thought we would beat the Lewis team. So,
yes, no, it's exciting times, and here. I think Chris has a problem because he can't pitch on this, or Kevin will rough, and he can't rough because he doesn't have transportation. Nothing he does will allow him to survive here, because he can't stop Kevin from scoring a trump.
So that's going to be a little bit of a pickup then for the Millens team.
Yes.
So this match has just been ping-ponging back and forth, is my understanding. When we're all playing, we would occasionally, we'd go back to the player room and you would hear. But have you been watching it all, Adam?
Yeah, I've been watching at least a few sets a day. It's been very exciting. I commented, I think, the first and second matches or for sets yesterday, which was lots of good bridge, and it's been a very fun couple days to watch. I'm friends with all of the players, and will be sad that one of the teams kind of has, is going to be a loser here, in the sense that I would be happy to see all of them as USA1, and I think they've all sort of shown themselves to be capable of it as well. So here on the right hand side, we probably should focus on board 50 in a second, but just I want to make the point that Debbie and Michael are probably one of the most established pairs in this event, and they also probably have the most thorough agreements about what 4-no trump means in a lot of these auctions. This is something that, and certainly as part of the junior program, Michael drilled into me over and over and over again, is that, these sorts of competitive auctions, it's really, really important to know what 4-no trump means. Is it key card? Is it takeout, etc.? And so hopefully they will be on the same page about what this 4-no trump is.
And what would you bid with Debbie's hand?
I think you bid 5 clubs. There's like 5 diamonds, excuse me. I would want to give partner a little bit of leeway. And my king, queen, jack 10, 6 of hearts really doesn't feel very good.
but it seems like they have had a misunderstanding. Because Debbie alerted her 5 spades as 2 with the queen. So she does seem to think that this is key card, and it'll be pretty evident to Michael that what's happened here. But it's not clear that he's really able to recover, because he just doesn't have, I mean, yeah, he sort of shrugs and bids 6 hearts and hopes that by bidding it quickly and confidently, they haven't woken up and started doubling yet. But I expect Jenny to to do so now. Yeah, just the 3 seems reasonable.
Yeah.
So this looks like actually a misunderstanding about what 4-0 means. And I think it looks like Michael realized that his thought that it was takeout was incorrect, because if we mouse back over 4-0, key card in hearts is correct. So he originally alerted it as takeout, and realized after partner's 5 spade bid, which is, and this is actually one of the really nice things about tablets, is that you can sort of, you don't have any unauthorized information, because you can't see or hear anything from the other side of the screen. So everything that happens at the table is authorized.
We had so many of the matches are very, very serious, and it was really kind of cute. Once in a blue moon, like a really interesting auction would happen, and then somebody would be dummy and they'd come running across the room, because there's 2 players. If you're just tuning into this, everybody is in a hotel room with just the north and the east, or the south and the west, and just those 2 players, so that you're able to converse. You can't see each other's screens. There's a button that can actually black out your screen in case the other person needs to get up and use the restroom, and you're worried about them looking at your screen for any reason. But you're able to talk about your system. When somebody goes in the tank, I don't know if you heard about the Pollock match, but Bill Pollock went in the tank quite a few times for 15 minutes at a time. I was able to sit there and do some yoga on the floor and try to keep myself relaxed. Looks like Adam's probably going to get his food.
No, I just figured it was easier to briefly turn off the camera while
you're eating.
A bit.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure everybody appreciates it.
Yeah, well, it's actually kind of nice, because you only actually see the person who's speaking on the screen, and so as long as I'm not trying to talk and eat, which I think I learned when I was about 5 is not a good idea anyway. It works out good. So here, it looks like Amber and Chris have sniffed around at Slam a little bit, but did land in 5 diamonds, which I don't think actually, like, the fact that diamonds go 5-0 is clearly obnoxious on this hand, but it's not clear to me that it dooms the contract. Like, he still has chances. If they were in 6, that's a different story, but I would expect him to take a moment and try to figure out the right line now. It looks like probably he's going to need to guess a little bit of what East's shape is, and cash his winners in the right order and take finesses in the right order.
So on board 51, USA2, you've got May and Pepsi are actually playing board 51 and 6 diamonds doubled.
Well, I will say that seems to be a better contract than 6 hearts doubled, but that's not saying all that much. The hard part on this hand is that both East and West are so shapely, and figuring out that it's in fact right to defend is really, really difficult. So I certainly have sympathy. Maybe they could have gotten to 5 only, but here as well, we see, the declarer is going to probably look to clear diamonds and draw some trumps, and eventually they'll be able to pitch their spade. And so they'll lose 2 more tricks for, I guess, down 2, which is not amazing, but and we see Chris did in fact make 5 diamonds. He chose well on the finesses to take, and
Excellent.
then we get to see how they handle this in the other room. Chris choosing to pass, which is the first variation. So it may mean that East-West get to stay a little bit lower with a little bit less preemption from the North-South team.
Sandra's hoping for a double.
I would imagine, and she may get her wish. I think is very reasonable with her hand. You know, it doesn't look like you really have anywhere else that you're thrilled to play the hand, and certainly you're happy if you get to defend 2 clubs doubled. Partner opened the bidding, and I would imagine that Chris might consider pulling. Whether or not he does is not clear. I think I probably wouldn't with his hand, simply because it's the sort of thing where, yes, the opponents might be right here, but I have Doubleton in support. I have another Doubleton. My partner overcalled on the 2 level. I have 10-6 the spades. It's like if partner doesn't have his spade fit, we may in fact be better off playing in 2 clubs. So I have a lot of sympathy for his choice to pass. And 2 clubs doubled will be an interesting contract. Declare doesn't have very many winners aside from their aces. And so we may see both sides going for something like 500, which would be a sizable pickup for Millens one way or the other, looks like. We've seen a lot of hands this match where choosing to preempt has actually been counterproductive in that it's actually helped the opponents figure out that they have shortness somewhere, or get to the right contract where otherwise they might not have. And this is, I guess, a counterpoint where Shan's choice to open 2 spades won them the board because once he opened 2 spades, 4 hearts, 4 spades, it's so hard for them at this point to for East-West to figure out to that they need to be doubling rather than bidding when each one of them has somewhere between 10 and 12 cards in their 2 suits.
Oh, in the comments, Eric Zhao is asking if you're able to see Declare's hand on the tablets. No, the defenders do not. It's just like you're sitting at a real table. So you're sitting there, with angst as you're watching your partner declare, and you can't see their hand. You don't know if their contract's going to make or not, or yeah. It was fun. Janice every once in a while would get up from her table and come over when she was dummy just to see what my hand was so she could have a better idea of what might be happening.
And in response to the chat about what is week 2 with 10-6, what the cool kids do nowadays, honestly, I think it's more about the seat and the position, right? You're in first seat, you're favorable, and you have spades. And so even though your hand is really quite dismal, I think there's a lot to be said for preempting very aggressively in that spot. And this hand is certainly on the low end of that, but feels warranted in that sense. And this hand is a great illustration of why sometimes that style can be very effective, because it's very difficult to to guess right all the time over preempts. And certainly when your opponents have shapely hands, and in fact they were supposed to be doubling you, you sometimes escape unscathed, as they did.
So in the comments, somebody was just asking me how many different screenmates have I had, and did I have any favorites? So I've been playing 3 sets a day now for a week, right? Or 6 days. So I've had a lot of screenmates, especially when we were doing the round robin. We did 9 matches. So against every single team, we had to play at least 1 match. The Lewis team, I have tons of respect for both Janice and Disa, and both sides. When we were choosing, we chose to sit opposite. Billy and I tended to have what Sam thought were their strongest pair. And then, so I really had a good time. There's a little thing that I've been doing at this tournament. Every day I write a couple of people a card. It's kind of a gratitude thing. So I had given cards to Linda Lewis the first day of our match, and then to Janice and Disa, and just telling them how much respect I have for them. So it was a really nice match with them, and they were so gracious when we ended up winning. And actually, Janice, on the first set I played against her, I came up with that. I don't know if you were watching, Adam, there was a hand yesterday that you have 2 spades, your partner's passed hand, 2 spades to your right, pass, 4 spades. And I came up with a king of clubs lead, which sets it. I had ace third of spades, can't remember how many hearts, nothing in diamonds, and I had king little of clubs. So it felt to me that the only way that this was going to set is if I could get my ace of spades, the king of clubs, and a club rough. And it happened to work out. And we had 3 or 4 boards in a row where we had positive imps, and Janice was like, wow, really well done. And it's, when somebody's one of your idols and are saying that, it's quite sweet. So yeah, I mean, I think I've had, everybody has been so nice. I've had Dave Caprera, and Bill Pollock and I had most of it, and super nice guy. The tanks were really hard, and I guess that's why they have the time constraints now. I mean, a 15-20 minute tank, and anybody that watched our very last board on that set, I misbid because I had been sitting there for 20 minutes waiting for him to make a bid on the hand before. And even though I was trying to meditate and do yoga, but it's, the US trials are definitely a really nice environment. So.
Yeah, I mean, all of the participants are all of the teams are people who I would consider to be mostly either friends or people who, as I got to know them, have become friends. There's not really anybody who I necessarily would have said, oh, I really don't want to share a screen with them, or I really don't want to share a room with them in some sense. And yeah, I mean, this is absolutely, these longer matches make you get to know your screen mates very well. And it can often be quite fun. So here it looks like, I think Amber might actually be winning the trump battle here, because she can actually, because Sandra doesn't have any more hearts, she can actually end play her into giving her a pitch for one of her losers.
Wow.
So she can exit a club, and Sandra will win. And let's say she cashes the queen of clubs,
Amber can duck, or even she can win it and get out of club. And the defense can't really stop her from having to give an entry to dummy, where there is the good king of diamonds for one heart and the good 10 of spades for a second heart.
And then in the other room in board 52, it doesn't look like the 6 diamonds has any play. Can you pick up those clubs?
Well, I think when it started, it may have had play. In that it looked like it was on either a spade finesse or a club finesse. And today, both the spades and the clubs are bad, and so Declare pretty much has no chance. You know, they can play to rough out spades and eventually take a club finesse, and they'll be sorely disappointed when both of their 2 black suit finesses have lost. So I think this is actually quite a good contract, that, you know, was unfortunate to have suffered 2 losing finesses, among other things, that sort of doomed it. I seem to be getting slightly darker as time goes on. Let me go fix that.
Yeah. The lighting here at this Hyatt in Schaumsburg in the hotel rooms is really bad. So I'm trying to leave this light open, but as you can see, it's starting to set. We're at 7:05 now.
Okay, that's moderately improved. I'll take it.
If they go over to the ace of clubs and they play out their diamonds, is there any type of squeeze that could occur?
They'll certainly be playing for it, but today you know, unless they were to read the situation, right? Theoretically, at this point, and honestly, even this, you know, this club discard maybe has them thinking about it, right? They can rough a heart to hand, cash 2 diamonds, and consider maybe trying to play for the queen of clubs to be off and smothering the 10, but that's just so deep, and, you know, seems to be far inferior from this line, where, you know, they sort of have this show up squeeze where, you know, once West has to pitch hearts and so on and come down to 1 club, and so, you know, Declarer will presumably play the king here, you know, knowing that. All right, I guess I missed the earlier play, so maybe Declarer doesn't know where the queen of hearts is, but you know, yeah, and Michael puts him out of his misery.
That's
So,
the
yeah.
nice thing that everybody talks about. You just tell people. you can shorten
Right.
the time.
Yeah, I mean, and it's often sort of good sportsmanship and a friendly thing to do in some sense, to simply say, you know, hey, you know, I have both the ace and queen, or, you know, you ask, you know, is this finesse working so that I can claim faster, things like that. And so Amber did in fact get out for down 2, so well done. Again, another Pyrrhic victory, as her teammates did go for 506 hearts. So it's not been a good day for making slams, that's for sure, or a good set at least. We'll see how Amber and Chris do on this hand. I think, honestly, this is a pretty good 6 diamond contract. Like, you know, Shannon and Jenny did well to get there, I think. And, you know, of course, no justice as this, you know, as it fails, but. Yes, she saved 1 imp for down 2 instead of down 3. It's a cruel world.
So very tight match. So Rosenthal's up 2. And then over in the semifinal for USA2, Dinkins at 90 and Waldowski is at 20. So we had a 50 imp lead after the first set, and it looks like they now have a 70 imp lead. So.
Yeah, that's not bad. So yeah, like here we see Michael not quite done over 1-0. But rather than choose to rebid his pretty ratty 6-card spade suit. He's made a takeout double instead, which I think is a thoughtful bit. And Debbie, unsure whether to play 2 hearts or 2 spades, instead choosing to bid 2 diamonds, sort of pick a major. And Michael presumably will pick spades, assuming that they're on the same page about this. But it's a thoughtful bid because, Debbie, if partner has 6 spades, she's happy to play in 2 spades. If partner has 4 hearts, she's happy to play in 2 hearts. But she's not sure which one herself, so she bids 2 diamonds, saying, hey, you pick. And if I'm glancing off to my right, or I guess left on screen a bunch, it's because I have a second screen up over there with the Twitch chat and a few tables and so on all going, and every so often getting DMs from people and so on too. So I think Shan might be thinking about whether or not to compete to 3 diamonds here, rather than letting them sort of get there, rather than letting Debbie get her hand off her chest. Simply, making the raise right away, since he's probably planning to do that anyway after partner doubled 2 diamonds to show, length and strength in diamonds. And we see Amber and Chris also stopped in 3-0. Again, really no justice. His 6 diamonds is definitely a good contract, but today today they will have I guess done well to stay out of it. This is where sometimes the imp result and the theoretical optimal contract often will diverge, but nonetheless the play-in 3-0 shouldn't be all that interesting. Declare has 5 diamonds, 2 clubs, a heart, and a spade to start. That's 9. And probably a lot of chances for 10 or 11. But many of those, I guess, will be doomed by the same losing finesses in the other room. So here,
153 here. Let's see.
Interesting. So Shan chose to pass over the double, planning to penalize 2 spades, which is a little aggressive, I have to say. Especially in their, in a sort of modern opening style, with 3 cards support for partner, you can be, it feels a little hungry, I have to say. And I'm not sure that he'll be too thrilled with, what he buys here, because yes, he'll have 2 trump tricks. Yes, he'll get, I guess, a diamond and 2 hearts and probably 2 clubs. So I guess maybe, he will get 300 for his trouble potentially, where, that's sort of the line where this maybe starts to make sense. But I don't know. It's an interesting route that he chose. I will say that. And making a good point in chat that because this is the last 15 boards of this set, everybody is sort of trying to think in the back of their mind, how good are we doing, right? Have we won? Are we winning?
So every board we play, you can then look back and see the double dummy on the on it. And Billy and I were on fire today. Like, we were just not dropping tricks. It was just amazing. But I was sitting there and I would write down what I think might be happening on, it's very different than being at a normal table, because I would sit there, I have my little score sheet, which I have in front of me right now, and I would write down all the possibilities, and I'd be like, okay, I think this is a positive 2 imps. I think this is, you know, I think we're getting 10 here. I think we're getting minus. And it was helping to make decisions on how aggressive to be or not in different situations. I mean, it is a little different in that respect, because I don't think you would be doing that at a live table.
Certainly you'd have a lot less flexibility and sort of secrecy to do so. I
Right.
think, you know, people may be doing it in their heads a little bit at the table of, you know, maybe, you know, oh, could they make game on that board that we played in the part score, or you know, what could have happened here had we done something different. But you know, I think the more explicit sort of double dummy analysis even definitely, it simplifies that process a little bit. But in my mind, the difference, unless you're stuck a large amount, really the difference in style and in play, for me, you know, in a normal long match where I'm just trying to play good bridge, isn't that substantial. And I find that the mental effort and energy that I put into figuring out, you know, what could have happened or what should have happened and so on, is often better spent either focusing on the current hand or relaxing myself and waiting for the, you know, the next hand to be able to sort of pour that energy there. Now, of course, when opponents take 15-minute tanks, sometimes, you know, boredom takes over, but.
Well, as I told you, I mean, anybody that played against me, a 15-minute tank meant I was probably on the ground in a child's pose. Deep breathing. Trying
Yeah,
to
yeah. No, I mean, it is definitely a stressful environment, but it is nice to have, you have a bit more almost even personal space, as you are just sharing basically a hotel room sized space with one other person.
So Mike Bodell is asking me how close I was into my estimates, and I actually in the Lewis match was pretty close. Yeah, I was pretty close. And you know, Janice also thought she had lost the match. We finished our set even when they had 3, and she's like, I just don't see where the pickup's going to be on these next 3 boards.
Yeah, you had a very good last 3 boards. I remember, because I was watching for that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just got lucky. I had that one hand, the very last one, where my partner overcalled a spade. So they went up to 3 hearts. 3 hearts can make, and all of my, my 8 points were in the 4 of them were in the spade suit. So it seemed we were much more offensive than a defensive hand. And I just hoped we wouldn't go down 300 over the 140. And I decided to bid 3 spades. Because I was pretty sure they weren't making 4 hearts.
Well, and here we see Amber chose to balance. I guess Sandra chose to rebid 2 spades rather than double, and Amber chose to reopen with double rather than pass out 2 spades. But I like Amber's choice of double here. I'm a little like, and Chris probably feels more confident actually passing out this double, because partner wasn't forced to, right? Partner sort of invited me to bid again when the auction was about to die. They probably have a little bit more for their opening than just a bare minimum terrible hand. And whereas Shan's auction, partner might just have like 6 diamonds and minimum opener. So I would feel a lot better penalizing 2 spades on Chris's auction. But Shan today has caught his partner with a little bit of extras, and in this spot here now at their table, Declare is going to have a hard time escaping probably at least 2 club losers, maybe 3 depending on how they guess them, but probably 2 club losers, probably 2 heart losers, and 1 more spade, which sure looks like down 2 to me. and I would guess that Sandra is probably headed for a similar fate. The defense got hearts started over there rather than diamonds, so it'll be interesting to see how the defense has to be a little bit careful here, because they really can't afford to break clubs very many times. They can lead one club and still keep their 2 club tricks safely, but if they lead 2, that's a problem. So so it looks like Michael is going to try just taking another sort of sure trump trick in that sense, and probably leading a club towards the jack now. And we'll see. He may get it right, but he hasn't seen very many high cards from the north hand, and so he could certainly be forgiven for playing north for the ace of clubs and sticking in the 9 maybe. And here it looks, and on the left in 2 spades, it looks like the defense might be headed for a little bit of an issue here if they're not careful, because Chris actually just has 2 natural trump tricks, and if Amber tries to give him some sort of uppercut or promotion, that risks potentially a later end play in the club suit. I see. So Michael, rather than touching any of the suits himself, has opted simply to exit trumps.
Interesting. What is the double dummy saying on both of these contracts right now?
I actually don't know. I when I'm analyzing, I try not to look at it just because I know it'll bias me if I do, but
I know, sorry. I'm very tired. It was a lot of work today.
Yes, I can imagine. So yeah, I mean, I think it does feel like from Shan's perspective, he can see that the clubs is very much a danger suit, right? He has ace 10 fourth. As long as partner has an honor, he really doesn't want to break clubs. So I think he may just break hearts, hoping that that's the lesser of evils. But if partner has king 3rd of clubs, though, he might see that actually, breaking clubs is maybe okay, right? So it doesn't seem like they've had very many opportunities to signal other than pitching in diamonds, but he's got to be trying to figure out, why hasn't partner pitched a club or something to help me here, right?
Well, didn't Jenny have 4 hearts? She must have pitched a heart at some point.
I think so. That would make sense.
She started off with 4.
And so maybe that is his clue, right? That if partner had king 3rd of clubs left, they might have just felt like it was safe to pitch a club. And they probably would have pitched an encouraging club to sort of help me out in this situation. And indeed he does go right, I think, because of this, right? That he realizes partner must have queen 3rd of clubs, otherwise they would have been pitching.
So Eric said that she did pitch off the 6 of hearts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, in this case, the 6s were only low spot anyway. But I think it does sort of get that message across that, hey, partner has queen 3rd of clubs because they didn't pitch one. And so here in this ending, the defense still has to be careful. Shan has to duck this in order to force declarer to be the one to lead a club in the 2-card ending rather than himself. Because if he wins the ace, then he has to lead a club and give declarer a finesse. So well done and nice defense. And Jenny, of course, has to cover this jack. And so well done by the defense to beat this 2 tricks. It was very nice defense. And looking in the other room, it seems like the defense is potentially in trouble here. Declare has established the fourth heart and still has a potential entry to dummy in spades. And so they're going to have to be really, really careful not to allow Declarer to end play south to lead a club at any point, or well, and play either opponent into leading clubs. So Amber may in fact need to play a heart right now. Let Declarer take the pitch so Chris can ruff and play a diamond. And now Declarer, even if they play a spade out of hand, Chris can grab the king and get out spades, and the defense can still ensure two club tricks. But the theme of this entire hand is really, it's all about just don't break clubs. Don't break clubs.
How many times have you stressed out of like, it feels like I can't touch the suit?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, careful carding really makes it clear of what's going on, that, hey, we really can't afford to touch the suit. It's the third rail, if you will. And here, I guess a trump back also does the trick. Chris has to be careful not to get rid of too many of his exit cards, or he's going to be a very sad camper, though. So he needs to return a trump here and not a diamond. And I think, again, he'll have probably worked out by now that the reason we haven't broken clubs at all is, hey, partner has honor third, and I guess maybe he can return a diamond safely. I guess we'll find out. Let's see. Yeah, I guess it's the same, because Declarer will play the fourth heart off dummy, and he'll be able to rough that with his natural trump trick and exit a trump. And so meanwhile, on 54, we haven't really looked at that board yet too much. Were you watching over there at all, Tracy? Or?
No, I was not. Let's see. So we have East opened up a heart, pass. Are they playing forcing no trumps or semi?
I believe they're playing fully forcing.
Okay, forcing. Okay.
Forcing until further notice, I suppose. If it goes a major or no trump pass, then we'll revise our estimates. But yeah, it seems that way. And I think they may have actually had an accident here, a little bit. Debbie bid a forcing no trump because she wanted to treat her hand as too weak to make a constructive raise immediately, right? So she could have bid two hearts immediately to show, let's say, 8 to 10 points with 3-card support, and her hand was too bad for that. And it looks like Chris and Amber did, by the way, get the defense right as well. So well done by them to push the board at 300. But yeah, so having bid 1 no trump, she later bid 3 hearts, and I think Michael may have interpreted this as showing a limit raise of some sort.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Would you bid 3 hearts there over the 2 spades?
I couldn't. I think once you bid a no trump with the plan of showing the less than constructive raise, essentially you are bidding the cheapest number of partners suit if you're forced to, and otherwise you're passing.
Right.
And it takes active intervention from partner to sort of drag you kicking and screaming to introduce, or to bid that suit freely. And here she did bid 3 hearts, which to at least in all of my partnerships, I would take this as showing a limit raise.
So very different auction in the other room. They've opened up a heart, a semi-forcing no trump, and they got a 2 club, and now they're just retreating back to 2 hearts. Jenny did the double where Amber just passed.
I have to say, I think double is really clear here.
Yeah, your white versus red.
Yeah. Like, yes, partner couldn't bid over a heart, but I still have 4 spades, a small doubleton heart. And this hand is a perfect illustration of why passing is so bad here.
And with South, would you balance after
Absolutely.
2 hearts, red?
No, I mean, my partner couldn't bid at any of their legal opportunities. It looks like they either have 3 hearts themselves, which means we have 3 fast losers there probably, or if they have a doubleton heart, then they weren't strong enough to bid.
So this looks like it's going to be a pickup for the Millens team. Oh, this match is just so close.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I mean, this will probably bring it back in single digit range.
Yeah, and now I'm watching the Dinkin Woldowski. Dinkin is now up 112 to Woldowski's 20.
That sounds like music to your ears. But yes. So here, Michael is of course not thrilled to be in game, but seems to be, I think, fighting his way to down 2, it looks like. And maybe down 3. Let's see. So then can pitch and put a diamond through. Yeah, I guess actually it is down 3. Take that back. So perhaps he will only lose 5 imps for their gross overbidding, as opposed to more, depending on how the play and defense goes in the other room. As in the other room, it sure looks like Declare's also on track to lose 6 tricks. Yeah, so probably this will be 5 imps for the Millens team, with 2 hearts going down 1 in one room, and 4 hearts going down 3 in the other room. But the defense here has failed to lead diamonds through, which means that there is some small risk, at least, of South getting in played if Declare read the situation. But it's so hard to play for this versus split honors. Declare could have roughed the spade to hand, cashed the ace hearts, gotten out a diamond, and playing South, but yeah, that's really not, I don't think, indicated in this situation. I look away for 1 second, and all of a sudden, the Declare's making 2 hearts in the other room. Hey. Okay, well, that's 9. That's 5. So South pitched a diamond for some reason. They must have had some sort of misunderstanding about the count somewhere, I guess. But hey.
So for those that are watching and that might not know the format, so right now this is the finals for USA1, and whoever wins will be representing the United States at Worlds in Morocco later this year. And then we also have a USA2 bracket. They're playing the semifinals right now. So what the lucky person over here, if they do not make USA1, they get a second chance to be USA2. So they will actually get a rest day. So after today, they're going to get to rest, while in the other match is going to be playing all day tomorrow. So. And these are 2 of the toughest teams in the field.
Well, and certainly having a day of rest, considering it's such a long event, going from 2 days of round robin to multiple 2-day matches and so on, having a day of rest is quite nice.
Yes, it's definitely an advantage. I mean, that was the thing, is coming out of the round robin in the top 4 positions and going through the USA1 bracket and having the double elimination for that bracket. If you were in the USA2 bracket, as soon as you lose, you're out. So plus you have no rest days if you go all the way to the end.
Right. Well, and I guess it's worth pointing out that the Millens team is actually only 5-handed. So Shan and Kevin and Sandra, I believe, have played all of the boards. So you know they've got to be feeling at least a little bit of fatigue by this point. Seeing as you know they've it's a lot of boards of bridge over a lot of days. And yeah, so you know definitely at least some fatigue in play there. It seems like in both rooms, Souths have ducked the first club finesse, and that may pay off quite handsomely here, as they actually, at least on the right hand side, can lead a club to partner, giving them a ruff with their 8 of diamonds, and then get back in with the ace of spades to give partner a second ruff with their jack of diamonds. And so that will bring the defense to 6 tricks, actually. And this is, I guess, a somewhat common theme when declarer has something like ace, queen, jack in the dummy, and you know you don't really have a clear play, and it doesn't seem likely that declarer is going to be able to pitch that card anywhere, and so they're probably going to repeat the finesse. Sometimes it can be advantageous to refuse to let declarer think they're winning the finesse for a little while, and you know, sort of let them come to the ugly realization that in fact it is offside later on when it's more advantageous for your side. As we see here, Shan can tell that partner has only a doubles in club, both from their count as well as from the fact that declarer had rebid 2 clubs. So you can work out for sure that he can give partner a ruff, and is probably trying to figure out whether he can afford to play the 10 of clubs first to signal for spades, or what, you know, just to sort of make sure that they get their 6 tricks at this point. And indeed he does. So the 10 of clubs, since it's the higher of his 2 remaining, his partner can read that and say, hey, he must really want a spade. And in fact, she may play the king of spades first, just trying to make sure that they cash their winners. But you know, today it really doesn't matter. Whatever they do now, you know, as long as she leads a spade, Shan will win and play his 4th club, giving her her 2nd ruff. And in the other room, it looks like declarer will also probably be finishing it. No, actually, declarer is making it. Room.
Yeah, they set up the spades, right? Or no? Yeah. No. Yeah. They don't have the spades set up.
Well, but they I guess the defense broke spades themselves, which gave declarer a pitch for this long club. So even though South ducked the king of clubs, declarer was able to get trumps out early enough and sort of avoid this trap in the club suit. So he actually has made 2 diamonds.
Yep. Well done.
Yep.
And Chris goes to bed without his king of clubs.
He does. He does. Well, he traded it for his partner's spade, but yeah. So it seems like declarer, after Amber ducked the queen of diamonds, just continued with another diamond, knocking out knocking out 2 of the defense's diamonds. And so now after they cleared hearts, declarer then went after spades, and was able to, thanks to, I guess, thanks to Chris pitched the 9 of spades, I guess, trying to help partner with the signal, and sort of breached, I think, a rather important rule when it comes to signaling, which is don't signal with tricks. But in any case, looks like the next board should prove to be rather interesting in 2-0. declare a little bit sad to be in 2-0 rather than some number of spades.
Yeah.
But
So with that hand, are you opening it 2-0?
definitely. I mean, I have a lot of 10s and 9s. This is a really, really good 19 count. I have all.
Do you have a way to show that 5-card spade suit?
No. I don't play any sort of puppet. And I wouldn't even be that concerned about it necessarily most of the time, because
We had Janice and I had that discussion in the room the other day. She's like, over my dead body, will I play puppet over 2-0 trump?
yeah, I think
I had the
think
same
it's just-
feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I think people play some variants of Muppet and God knows what, but anything that where 2-0 3-0 is not to play is such a memory tax, and it's one of those things that if I agree to play it, I know I'm going to mess it up, and just I out of an abundance of caution and sanity, I kind of refuse to do that, and so yeah, I am not a Muppet, not a Kermit, or whatever other various Sesame Street oriented conventions you want to play. No, thank you.
But that's the thing, is it does make sense when you're doing this long of a match to not have things. And that's, something about Billy's system of being very, very simple.
There's a lot to be said for it. Like
Yeah.
they're at least not introducing unnecessary memory load when you can help it, right? Yeah, definitely. And it looks like Declare here is scrambled home with 8 tricks after spades split, and likely Declare in the other room will do the same. And so we will still probably have a tied match with I guess 4 boards to play. So despite having 120 boards after 498 imps and I guess 116 boards, we're basically where we started.
Do you know what the rule is if they end up tied?
So I believe it defaults to whoever won the match in the round robin between the 2 teams.
Oh, wow.
But it actually, all
Is
of
somebody
the
gonna look that up?
semifinal ones, there were, the USBF site said, which team would win the tie. It doesn't for the final, and be careful if you do open that up and don't want spoilers, because even though it's not posted just yet, because the round only has about 30 minutes remaining, at some point pretty soon, there will be spoilers available.
Well, and that's one of the things I think the USBF should not put the scores up until the love bridge finishes. That should just be why spoil anything unless you personally know one of us here.
Yeah, I guess there's a challenge of wanting to get that information out there so that if people have decisions to make based on that information, right, whether it's a flight to book or a captain's meeting or whatever it might be.
But then you have people with skin in the game. You have people here that can call. So that way we're not ruining it for the people that are watching.
Yeah, or at least maybe maybe just having a way to sort of click, let's say, reveal scores or something along those lines. So here we see, it looks like they've had, my guess is that Kevin's double, rather than just showing diamond support, may have been some sort of responsive type thing. That's not clear, actually. It's possible that it was just diamond support and Sandra chose to bid 2 hearts along the way, because she has a pretty nice overcall. And this auction is kind of a nightmare for Chris. Like he has 7 card support for his partner's opening bid, and basically that's all, right? Like he doesn't have much else in the way of defense. And today, he heard his partner make a penalty, make a ostensibly penalty double, but I have a little sympathy for him not wanting to sit it out. even though, of course, that is pretty disastrous today, since they have, well, 5 losers and 5, they're going for 500 against Air here. Not only are they going for 500 against Air, they were also, I guess they're down 1 and 3 now, but 5 losers off the top, but they have to take them.
So on that last board, Michael Rosenberg ended up making 3 no trump. So 1 into Rosenthal.
Well, and those are rather important these days.
Yes, very. There's not many boards left.
Yeah, no, I mean, long gone are the days where, oh, they won an M, who cares? Yeah, we're counting every single one of them. So. Yeah, I mean, I think when Amber doubles 4 hearts all by herself here, I think he probably is supposed to let it go. I get why he didn't, but it feels pretty bad when partner made a penalty double saying I want to kill them, and then you say no, you don't get to. So the auction's starting the same way in the other room. We'll see how they fare. But certainly this is not a good result for Amber and Chris in the open room. Yeah, and Debbie has alerted her double a stolen bid. So, this presumably just says, "Hey, I would have bid 2 diamonds had they not bid it themselves," and it doesn't have any of the sort of responsive implications that we were maybe considering that it might have, and so she may hear the same 2 hearts from Michael here. He does have a better, like Sandra, he has a better than minimum overcall, and wants to potentially find a major fit if one exists. But instead he chose to bid 3 diamonds, which should at least slow down Debbie, and maybe
Why do you think he chose that instead of showing the hearts?
I think he decided that his hand wasn't good enough, where he didn't really want to try for game. And unless he was interested in game, he probably didn't want to bid 2 hearts and invite partner to be bidding a bunch more. And so simply bid 3 diamonds to sort of block them a bit.
Yeah, do you see Shan? He bid 3 no trump.
I like it. I think it's a good bid. Like it's one of those things. I got 7 tricks. Here we go. Right? Partner opened a club. I have queen third of diamonds, so I have a stopper in their suit. Like, make them beat me, right? They don't know I have anything of the sort. And in fact, here the defense is going to have to. I would have a hard time if I was defending this hand, not letting 3-no make. Debbie will throw the 10 of spades or 10 of diamonds, which is probably her best shot, but that's the chat does point out that there are actually only 8 tricks, so I got a little ahead of myself. Counting is hard. But yeah, so I guess he'll just have 8 tricks, get out for -50, and that'll be 10 ins for the Millens team still for their trouble, because 5 clubs doubled for 500 in the other room. Yeah. So that'll put them in the lead by 9 imps with 3 boards to play. Our first look at board 58, it looks like a very marginal game. You've lit, I guess, 10 opposite 13 with a lot of really good spots. But in standard bidding, a diamond pass a no trump feels pretty normal. and it's only a question. It's just a question of whether South gets in there and gets doubled in some number of clubs, or not. So Amber and Chris, I guess, have done well to be defending 1-0 rather than having bid at any point. And maybe, if they had bid, or if either East or West took a more favorable view of their hand, they might have been able to get to this very thin 3-0. Of course, I think about 12 finesses work, give or take. So maybe 10. I don't know. It's a lot. We'll see. I have to say, if I was not vulnerable, I would probably overcall 2 clubs at South. Vulnerable, 6-3-2-2. I think pass is fine, but I know plenty of people who would still do it, and who swear by being very aggressive with their 2 club overcalls. And I guess on this hand, they would get what's coming to them. But Jen, I think, having chosen not to bid the first time, wisely chooses not to bid the second time, because of course it's that much easier for them to penalize you when you bid the second time. So we will have a 1-0 in both rooms, and it's all about the over tricks here, because 9 imps is still very close and only a couple boards to play. Kevin in the other room seems to have, I think, gotten off to a slightly better start, in that he didn't wind up breaking diamonds until now. But probably all roads lead to the same place at this point. Feels like he probably just wants to lead a diamond to the queen, not even bother cashing the ace of clubs, because he knows that sets up some tricks for the defense and he doesn't know where the king of diamonds is yet. So feels like he probably just wants to lead a diamond to the queen, let them figure it out. And now he cashes both of his major suit winners, pitching clubs from his hand, and leads a low diamond off the dummy. And today Amber will have either kept a club exit and pitched a diamond, or she'll have kept 3 diamonds, in which case he'll have to guess well, I suppose. But he knows that, because when clubs were led earlier, Amber didn't play a club on her, so he knows South has 3 cards left. 2 of them are the king, queen of clubs, and this is the 3rd. Or that happens, and he gets all the remaining tricks. That's I guess a bit of fatigue and sloppiness there from Amber, unfortunately. But no reason for her to duck that, because, well, she can tell that Declare has 1 more diamond, so it doesn't, she's not saving herself anything. And if Declare had the ace of clubs, then the rest. So in a situation where every imp counts, that was a bit costly. Certainly, if you're the Rosenthal team, you don't want to be down more than a game swing. So making sure that you're going into the last couple of boards, it's only 9 or 10 is pretty important potentially.
So what do you think is going to happen on this 59? So we have a club, a spade. Two hearts, two spades.
I mean, it feels like Amber probably doesn't quite have enough to make a game try. Maybe, I mean, she might double as a sort of maximal.
I mean, yeah, well, here in this kind of situation, we play that bidding three spades is the weakest, doubling is inviting to the game, and passing is strongest.
Well, pass probably shouldn't be strongest here, right? Because you're not actually
You're not
forced.
opening.
This
You're
is
not
not,
opening.
this is not an auction where
forcing.
you're forced, right?
Right,
So
it's true.
because
Yeah.
of that, you want to make sure that you can still, if you just have a garbage one spade bid, you you just pass but your point about double being invitational and three spades being just sort of competitive, I think stands.
Yes. Sorry, I'm very fatigued.
That is fine. And Amber has chosen to just shoot out four spades. I mean, maybe thinking that she needs a little bit. 3-0, ironically, is actually cold north-south. They have 9 tricks and can't be touched. But four spades also, unfortunately, has exactly 9 tricks. And so that'll probably go one off as long as the defense is a little careful. Actually, I take that back. The defense has to be really careful because what's actually going to happen here is that West is going to get squeezed in the minors unless they stop playing clubs and switch to diamonds right now, which maybe Sandra can work out to do. Right, her partner did kind of discourage clubs, and you can see that diamonds are probably okay to lead. But yeah, if the defense is not careful here, Declare is actually going to make this. Well,
why I like both teams, the Rosenthal team has a lot of Bay Area people. Amber Lynn is helping on the junior fundraising project. Olivia Shearsons, the Rosenbergs are big mentors of her and her dad. So we want them to win this one. So if we end up moving through to the USA2 final, we wouldn't want to have to play against them.
Yeah, it is a little tougher when it's the USA2 final versus USA1 final there, because USA1 final, at least both teams still have a shot, whereas USA2 less so. So this is not a good start for the defense. If they, as they rightly pointed out, the defense could actually afford to play 3 rounds of clubs, but they had to make sure to follow through, because then on the as Declarer is sort of stripping out this hand and rectifying the count for the squeeze, West is able to get on lead with a heart and play the 4th club, getting rid of that threat. So the defense had 2 different options here. They could either shift to diamonds early on and sort of break it up that way, or they could just keep driving clubs. But what they've done here is sort of that middle ground that actually is not acceptable on this hand, and so unfortunately they pretty much have no recourse here, or fortunately, I suppose, depending on who you ask. But and it looks like in the other room they're having a similar sort of issue where they didn't get clubs started early enough, and so now Declare is going to be able to just run trumps and squeeze West, and West won't be able to keep 3 diamonds to the queen and the club guard. And in fact, Declare will, because diamonds are 5-2 that way, in fact, Declare will have 100% play. They won't even have to figure out what has happened because they'll have seen all 13 diamonds. So they'll
they'll see 3 diamond pitches from West, and on the ace of diamonds and another diamond, they'll actually, I think, be able to be pretty confident that the queen is coming down. But this looks like it may in fact be a push, and certainly a missed opportunity for the Rosenthal team to, who are now trailing by 11 with this board and only 1 more. So they really needed to pick up 10 on this board to have to be in the game.
Well, 60 is a wild hand that's going to be coming up.
Okay, well, I have certainly not one to say no to excitement. But yeah, I mean, it looks like Declarer is well on her way to, well, in both rooms, to this squeeze, and just has to be careful not to rough a club here, because if they rough a club here, then when they play a heart, they can get rid of that club threat. So they have to. And that is not good for the Rosenthal team, because now when Amber plays another heart, they will. Comments making another good point as well, that 4 spades is doubled. I didn't even realize that. Huh. So, this is actually an even more costly error, in that rather than picking up 5 imps, now they're going to lose 11. And this is definitely, I think we saw it on a couple boards before as well. I think just fatigue, because Amber is usually both a thoughtful and good player, who would not make a mistake like that, I think. But today seems like she may wind up, she'll wind up finishing down 1 now. I guess she'll probably, having gotten herself to this spot, she'll probably rough a club. The hand exit a heart, and the defense just has to make sure that East wins the heart, so they can play a diamond. But and for Stefano in the chat, I believe that Declarer will actually, because as the squeeze operates, and because diamonds are 5-2 specifically, Declarer will actually see enough diamonds that they have the count, to where, assuming that assuming that the squeeze has operated, there's no question about where the diamond is. But perhaps there's a little bit of nuance there that I missed, and it's not 100% to play for it. You were not kidding, Tracy. 12 cards and 2 suits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that is actually true, Stefano. You do have to pitch from dummy, which, yeah, I guess I'm a little sloppy here myself, though, because as long as you're pitching from dummy first, you do have to decide a little earlier. But yeah, as long as Sandra does not play the 7, this will be. Yeah, I think you're right, Stefano. That Declare does in fact have to guess the shape. So it's not a lock to be playing for the squeeze to have operated, because it's in fact possible for East to potentially have had queen third of diamonds, or even queen in a diamond, or I guess queen third of diamonds really is where it matters. Okay, and Sandra we were sort of checking whether Sandra was awake. In fact, she is, and so she did well to play the Jack of Hearts, preventing Kevin from getting in played, and that will be 11 more imps, which sure makes it look like the Millens team is going to be our winner here. Either I mean that board Rosenthal really needed to pick up 5 to have a fighting chance, but now the result on this board, it will be pretty hard to swing 22 imps or 23, I suppose.
What would need to happen to do that? Is that even a possibility?
I mean, it is a theoretical possibility in that the imp scale goes up to 24. On this particular deal, probably some combination of revokes, aneurysms, and complete loss of sanity.
Well, over in
So,
USA2, May and Pepsi bid to 6 clubs doubled making.
that is a nice result for them. And it seems like I guess in the 6 clubs you need the defense needs to figure out to lead a diamond, or they are going to make it. And looks like Michael might be about to play 5 clubs doubled, which doesn't quite suffer from that same problem. On a diamond lead, he'll have to guess what's going on a little bit and play low. But assuming that he does, that is still 11 tricks there. So it looks I'm given that it's 22 imps and the auction has started similarly, I suppose, at both tables. It looks quite likely that the Millens team will be our USA1 representatives. So very big congrats to them. They've had a very good showing this week, and they've played 5-handed, as I said earlier. So have played several of the players have played all of the boards. So we'll be, I'm sure, welcoming the the respite from having to play more. And condolences to the Rosenthal team, who put up one hell of a fight, and will get a day to rest and recuperate before playing the USA2 final, which I'm sure will be lots more exciting and good bridge. So yes, definitely huge congrats to Team Millens. I think Joan also has not played very many USBCs before. So this is, of course, a spectacular showing for one of her first USBCs. And I'm sure there'll be many more, especially if this is any indication. So very well done to them. We see the defense did not get off to the best start against 5 clubs doubled. And so Michael most likely will probably come home with an over trick. I suppose he may play a diamond to the ace, but what is South really doubled on here? Like, got to be wondering what on earth does South have for their double, given that they don't have the ace of spades, they don't have probably the king queen of hearts at least, they don't have the king of clubs, so what the hell do they have? Well, they must have diamonds. And especially with Shen covering with the jack, that this is good night. And now he'll claim 12. And so they will pick up a swing, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's going to be enough, because had the previous board gone differently, perhaps it would have been enough. But today this will be just a bit too little, just a little bit too little, and a little bit too late. So again, congrats to all of the Millens team. Very happy for them, and I'm sure they will do us proud.
Well, over in the other set, Wildowski team has been picking up a ton of imps in the last few boards. So they've closed the lead. Dinkin is now at 117 and Wildowski is at 53.
I'm sure you're thrilled about that.
No.
Sorry,
I kind of liked
couldn't
the
miss a
90
little
point lead
jab
that was
there.
happening for a while.
Yes, yes. No, I mean these are some very swingy boards, and certainly made for a little bit of excitement towards the end here. It's a shame that what may have been a bit of fatigue and misguessing, potentially swung the match here. But yeah, I think Stefano's points in chat still very much hold true that Declare definitely should have, or definitely needs to, not should have, definitely needs to have guessed the distribution on the hand in order to successfully execute the squeeze versus just choosing to finesse. So, well done by Jenny to have done that as well. And the other question in the chat, who will be player number 6 in the Bermuda Bowl? Kaplan. I not that I'm aware of. Yeah, I'm never one to say no to fun adventures, especially in Morocco. But no, I actually don't know exactly what the process is. My guess is that the team will probably need to sort of consult with the USBF board and with themselves, and either decide to augment one player, or maybe they'll be allowed to go as 5. I know for the juniors, they're of course very adamant that the junior teams go as 6, but that may be less the case for open teams and mixed teams. So.
Well, you can go to Morocco. There's the transnationals that's happening the week after.
It's true. I may consider going anyhow. I've actually have not been to Morocco. It's one of the
Me either.
One of the places that I would very much like to go and have not been. And I've done quite a bit of traveling, so that's definitely one I'd like to add to my list at some point. So I had originally hoped to go as part of one of these teams, but you're right, it might still be worth it and a fun time to go for the transnational.
Can we switch over to the USA2 match?
Sure. I was going to save you.
I have a little skin in the game.
Well, I was going to say I would not want to have to commentate on my teammates' actions.
Oh, I'll listen to you.
Because yes, it is absolutely that's a very difficult spot to be in. But here it looks like this is the 4 spades that we just watched in the other room, and it looks like Declarer has not gotten it right, or I'm not. I guess maybe the play went a little bit differently, but so. It looks like she will still have one more loser that she can't get around, and will finish down 1. Yes, they do nominate a 6th, and it has to be cleared through the USBF board, is what it sounds like. So I guess the Millens team will be able to sort of decide who out of everybody that they want. I guess it has to be a guy, seeing as they have 3 women already. But who out of everyone out there who is eligible and interested do they want to have as a 6th? And so we will see. It looks like Moldavsky's team has a very good result in the other room with 6 clubs double the making, and I suspect that will be a little bit tricky to duplicate here, but. The Yoko choosing to, rather than preempt immediately, choosing to walk the dog a little bit with 2 clubs, which, to be quite honest, I don't really like it here. I think with such a long, strong club hand, it really feels like you just want to smash 5 clubs on the table, make them figure it out. Because you don't want them to be able to communicate a bunch of stuff about, hey, I have spade support. Hey, I have hearts and other things. And so I think I probably would opt for just jumping in clubs. But certainly you can imagine there's a world where this is advantageous. And if Ron was feeling enterprising, he might trot out 3-0 with the stiff king. which might actually, if they ever would let them play it, would probably be successful. But unsurprisingly, now that the opponents have communicated all these things about having spade fits, it's going to be a lot harder for Yoga to buy it in 5 or 6 clubs, and yeah, I mean, hell, they have they're making 5, north south are making 5 spades. I mean, this is where really preventing the opponents from exchanging information here is pretty valuable, because I mean, maybe she just has to shrug and hit 6 clubs now and hope for the best, but north south are making 5 spades, and I can't really imagine Ron bidding on to 6 clubs. He has 2 aces for defense and the king of spades. I mean, so it looks like this is not quite 22 imps that we were talking about as being necessary in the other match, but it's sure a hell of a lot of imps. Whatever 1090 and 850 is. I'm not in a math kind of mood, but I guess 1940 is probably around 19 imps, 18 imps. It's a lot of imps, and certainly huge swing here. So, and DeClaire might think a little bit longer, but can't really go wrong here with the stiff king of spades on side, and friendly splits. So sure looks like they are going to be less not 850. So a bit of fireworks to end today's match, and this match for USA2 has all day tomorrow as well, and there will be no other competing and conflicting bridge going on beside it. So we'll be able to watch this match probably in entirety tomorrow. And I don't actually know who's commentating, but I would imagine that there'll be another fun lineup of commentators as there was today. And so we'll go from this match to then the winner of this match against Rosenthal now for the USA2. And 18 imps. I was ballpark. So
okay. So Adam,
yes.
Thank you so much, especially for pretty much carrying all of this. It was a pretty exhausting day, pretty emotional day.
Yes, it's a lot to actually.
It was a little hard to watch the last 5 boards.
No,
for my team.
It's torturous for me to watch my team play on VUGRAPH.
I don't actually. That's one of the things that we don't do. Like when I take a set off, I'm resting. I might be working a little bit, but for the most part, I'm like taking a nap or doing some meditation and trying to relax.
And the cynic in me says this is why we don't do it, but but yes, it is really it's stressful, and of course, no matter how much you shout at the screen, your teammates can't hear you and will do what we're going to do anyway. So
this is advice that I would say to most people, and it's one of the things that we've talked about as a team. I don't watch my teammates and how they're playing. That is not my job. My job is to worry about myself. And does that make sense? Like, I don't want to be critical of anybody else on my team. I know everybody is trying their best, and I just worry about what I can do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely the right sort of philosophy to have. Nobody sat down and said, "Hey, let's play some terrible bridge," right? Or, "Hey, let's misguess a bunch of queens." No, everybody is trying their best. Sometimes that can be more or less better, let's say, since we're in the mood for butchering the English language on my part. But at the end of the day, nobody is sitting down and purposefully trying to pitch anything, and being part of being a good teammate is realizing that, there's taking sort of the good with the bad, that, some of these decisions will wind up working out very well, as it seems like they had for, I guess, the first 10 boards of the second set, and perhaps less so in the last 5. So,
Well,
yeah,
we have 4 more matches tomorrow. If anybody that reads the USBF bulletins, you can find those at usbf.org. But yeah, nobody expected us to even get out of the round robin. So I am happy to be here. Both Olivia and I, it's our first time. So it'll be a lot of fun tomorrow, no matter what happens. So thanks,
yeah,
Adam.
quite exciting. I will almost certainly be watching, and I may be commentating. I actually need to chat with Jan and see. I might take a day or two, to go have a life, but
it's hard.
So far I haven't been very successful with that. So
I know it's so hard.
I think I will certainly be watching in some form or another, whether or not I'm part of the commentator crew. But in any case, thank you for joining us today. This was a very exciting day of bridge, both with, of course, the end of Tracy's match and then the end of the USA1.
Congratulations to Team Millen.
Yes, absolutely. Huge congrats to them, and condolences to Rosenthal. And I guess we will see much more of Team Rosenthal in a couple days. So lots more bridge to come. And have a good night, everyone. Thanks, Tracy, and good luck tomorrow.